Hi, everyone, and welcome to Alive in the Archive. I'm Eliza Samuelson here at the Feminist Institute, a not-for-profit organization dedicated to collecting feminist contributions to culture by preserving them in our online public archive. In this episode, I get the pleasure of talking with swimmer, author, journalist, and motivational speaker, Diana Nyad. Diana, welcome to Alive in the Archive.
Eliza, thank you so much. I'm excited to speak to you today. It's going to be, we got some powerful stuff ahead of us.
I'm looking forward to it. So Diana, you first attempted your 110-mile swim from Cuba to Florida in your 20s. And after a failed attempt, you retired at 30, didn't step foot into a lap pool, didn't entertain the idea of completing the swim again until you turned 60. I want to hear a little bit about what made you want to try again later in life.
You know, Eliza, when I did retire at age 30 and through my 20s, it wasn't just the Cuba swim. I had, you know, the Earth, they call it a blue planet, right? It's 4/5 water. And so open water swimmers are swimming everywhere in the, the Sea of Japan, the Gulf of Thailand, the English Channel, Lake Tahoe, you could name it. And in my 20s, I traveled around with a bunch of marathon swimmers and swam across the globe virtually, even though Cuba was the big one. Cuba was the soul swim, of my life. I grew up down in Florida. That forbidden island of Cuba was right off our shore. I had lots of Cuban friends, etc. But at age 30, I hadn't made it. I tried 42 hours across that epic ocean. I didn't make it. Couldn't get visas for the next year. The weather fell apart the next year. And I thought, I'm going to go my whole life. No wonder nobody has done this swim. It's difficult to get it all together, at one time. And I was getting offers. I was 30. I was getting offers from different television, entities to be a sports broadcaster. So from 30 to 60, I did that. And listen, I'm not going to complain about those 30 years. It was wonderful announcing at Olympic Games and the US Open tennis championships, the Tour de France cycling championships. But by the age of 60, after 30 years of doing that, I felt like a spectator. I just wasn't a doer anymore. And I missed chasing my own dreams. I was unsatisfied telling the stories of other people chasing their dreams. And I came back to Cuba, not only for the clear, sort of pedestrian, shall we say, reasons of a sporting event that's out there, an extreme endurance challenge that no one's ever done still. There was just plain that, wanting to chase that and be the first person to do it. And then it had many deeper layers. I wanted to establish for myself a way of living, chasing big dreams, not being afraid to fail, having the courage to fail. You'll discover who you are on your way to something that might be impossible if you're willing to take the journey, not necessarily the destination as the food for your life. So that's what I wanted to chase that for. And here I am sitting with you today, or virtually sitting with you, Eliza, and I have retired from long distance swimming again. I'm 72 years old now. So, I can see the end of life a lot clearer than I can see the beginning that was way back when. But I'm filled with all those tenets that Cuba swim was about: chasing bigger dreams, believing that you're never too old to chase any dream that you want to dream, believing that if you just don't give up, all of us, we need talent, we need hard work, we need colleagues, to surround us, we need a little bit of good luck, timing, and all that. But more than anything, we need resilience, persistence. You have a goal, you have a dream, you get knocked down, you get back up. You get knocked down, you get back up again. And if you have that kind of spirit, which now I am imbued with because I chose that Cuba swim to fill me with this spirit, I've got that never, ever give up spirit. So no matter what I do now, and I'm doing a lot, I'll probably get to those other shores that I'm chasing today because of that Cuba swim.
Yeah. I am thinking about your mantra, your quote, the title of one of your books, Find a Way, that really, you held steadfastly to in that last swim of yours. And, you've mentioned in previous TED Talks and interviews, you have barriers, you get over the obstacles, you have a dream, you find a way to accomplish this. And I'm thinking of this kind of in sync with, female athletes are already subjected to gender barriers in their respective industry. And, in addition, now we're learning more of kind of a more clandestine barrier of sexual exploitation by individuals in power in those respective industries. And I'm curious, by, you telling your Me Too story as an athlete, how do you hope to create a more accurate historical record for athletes to follow you?
It's not just athletes. I like to think that I represent that New York Times op-ed piece I wrote in November 2017, just after the Me Too movement really broke wide open. Although, Tanya Burke, had created it a long time before, but now it became bigger and more widespread, Me Too. Frankly, Eliza, one thing I'd like to do is create an archive, create an online archive, a place for women and men to go, boys and girls to go, to tell their sexual abuse stories. I think it's very powerful to be able to use the words. It sort of dissipates, the fear, the anger, the self-loathing that comes with being abused. To be able to speak your words and have your words printed somewhere, respected somewhere. I would love to start a national archive such as that. But I think what you're talking about is, does it help for people to speak up? Does it help cause change? Well, of course it does. Just since the Hollywood started it, with the whole, Weinstein case in 2017. And look what's happened since. It's not laws that have been passed. It's just that basically now in the halls of Hollywood studios, you are not allowed to bring a young actress in and close the door or meet her at a hotel. I mean, it's done with now. Now you have a colleague who sits in the meetings with you, who's going to oversee things. Now you're going to be caught and you're going to lose your entire career. So we can do this. The world of sports, there's something called For Safe Sports now. There's an ex-Olympic swimmer, Nancy Hogshead, is a powerhouse lawyer, and she is leading all kinds of new changes in the world of sports so that boys or girls, are not left alone with a coach the way I was with my coach. And the chances of being abused again, are going to be less and less. But really, what's the problem, Eliza, is in the network of families. So in the workplace, Feminist Institute, we can work, hand in hand with a whole bunch of different agencies to change laws, change initiatives. But what happens with that subtler gray area of the family? And most of the women who have come to me to tell me their stories have been family or people very close to you issues, not really within the workplace. So the workplace is easier to govern and come up with new ways of being and things that are just not allowed anymore. But within day-to-day life, how are we going to convince a mother who's terrified and she needs that stepfather? She needs the income, she needs the security. I'm just making it up, but this is a standard story. But he's abusing one of her daughters. How are we going to get her to be brave enough to get him in jail and to stop that activity? It's more obsequious, and it's let's face it, it's an epidemic, sexual abuse all around the world. It's been part of the Homo sapien life for a long, long time. So we are now just finally rising up to say, well, that's not happening anymore. That's not the way we're going to go about, our society, at least here in the United States. I'm hopeful that we're moving toward having less and less sexual abuse as we go forward. And the start of it is to be brave enough to come out and tell your story.